Space, a void of infinite opportunity for its inhabitants, especially for the ones who seek to take its resources into their own hands. For more than half a century now, various entities have been fighting for control over the area outside of our Earth. And it all started with two very ambitious countries looking to one-up each other. Back in the 1950s, the animosity between the United States and the Soviet Union was quite evident, competing at literally everything they can get their hands on, from nuclear weapons to governing philosophy. But it would be one industry that would take up the limelight around this time. The space race between the US and Russia represents a very crucial revolutionary period for space technology, starting off in 1955 when both countries announced that they wanted to put satellites into space. A satellite is basically an object that orbits around a celestial body like the Earth or the Moon. At first, the idea of sending an object into space and having it orbit the globe was much more theoretical, and was never really successfully put into practice before by humans. Until on October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union would prove this theory through launching the first ever successful satellite into orbit, known as the Sputnik 1. And as we all know today, satellites play a very crucial role in society and modern life, from communication to simple navigation through your GPS. So yeah, access to space in any shape or form is very important for us to reach the true potential of human technology. Like to maybe one day achieve something as fantastically impossible as the Dyson sphere, a feat of science that only exists in science fiction. But like the satellite or spaceship before it, that seemed impossible to people hundreds of years ago. Who knows, maybe one day humans will reach such achievements. For the next decade after the first satellite was launched by Russia, the fire to open the doors of space further would grow exponentially, sprouting years of innovation for the industry, with the last mission in this innovative era happening in 1972, with Apollo 17, the last human mission to the moon by the United States. But the race to make space our own has definitely not stopped since, for neither countries around the world, and now private corporations. Outer space itself holds boundless of opportunities and resources, but for a time, access and usage to the world outside of our world was exclusive to government bodies and programs. But later in the 90s, the control over the space industry would gradually move towards private companies, also known as the privatization of space. The space industry has been moving towards commercializing their operation for years, to access a whole new pool of wealth, which is very understandable as the space industry has a lot of potential to be the most lucrative industry in the world. Right now, the satellite market represents the majority of the space economy, being used in everyday operations and practices for the modern world. But the real potential behind space has yet to be unlocked. Some possibilities that would push the space industry farther than any other sector in the past include asteroid mining, tourism, energy, real estate, and much, much more. It might sound cliche, but the possibilities is truly up to your imagination. To show you guys how profitable space could really be, we could take a look at the asteroid Ryugu, which was discovered in 1999, and through the Japanese Hayabusa 2 mission, we were able to calculate the value of this asteroid at about $82.76 billion. And if we compute in the cost of mining the asteroid as well, there would still be a profit of $30 billion waiting for any corporate entity to harvest for themselves. An interesting fact about the Ryugu asteroid was that it was found to have organic molecules on its surface, which represents the building blocks for life. This makes it even more valuable for all those science nerds out there. On this list alone, you could find just another dozen other asteroids that would net you well over $1 billion as well. But not everyone is all hippy-dory for the commercialization of space, like legendary astronaut Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon. Or if you don't believe in the moon landing, a quite nimble actor. Mr. Armstrong has quite publicly shown his critiques against commercializing space travel, stating that commercializing space would threaten America's dominance in space exploration. But of course, that shit wouldn't stop the billion-dollar corporations out there from moving forward with their plans to profit off of the cosmos. One such multi-billion-dollar private corporation testing the domains of the gods is SpaceX. Like when they made history in 2008 when they became the first privately funded company to launch a spacecraft into orbit. They would also become the first private entity to send astronauts into space as well on May 30th, 2020. But probably, in my opinion, the most important achievement SpaceX has done thus far happened in 2015. When they became the first company in history to successfully land and reuse the rocket after being launched, known as the Falcon 9. This single moment has significantly changed the game for space travel forever, as it made space travel much more inexpensive compared to before. Elon's ultimate goal with SpaceX is to create fully reusable launch vehicles capable of moving people to planets across the solar system, making humanity multiplanetary. Which is a very ambitious goal, but also a very necessary dream for the future of our world, albeit a very distant future. Currently, Elon is looking towards colonizing Mars by creating a self-sustaining city on the Red Planet. To achieve this very ambitious goal, Elon and SpaceX will need to combine years of technology and advancements in this one pursuit. SpaceX is not the only company moving towards the goal of exploring and taking over the cosmos. Some other companies literally racing to the top are Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, etc. Most of the companies I listed are mainly focused on space travel and developing better vehicles for traversing the cosmos. Because before we reap all the other possibilities that the vast universe has to offer, we must first develop the best way to move through the space as efficiently and as cost effectively as possible. And having space travel commercialized is honestly, in my opinion, the best way to motivate people to further innovate and advance the technology. The space industry reached a valuation of $469 billion in annual global spending in 2021, and is estimated to reach $1 trillion by 2040. The global space economy has a lot of potential for the future as many companies race to grab their portion of the pie. Right now, it's pretty valid to say that SpaceX is in the lead when it comes to advancing and steps forward in the industry. And let's not forget about our friends over at NASA, who partners up with many of these corporations all the time, and has many space missions of their own planned for the future, like Artemis 1. And as these companies reach out into the infinite expanse, I'll be chilling on this old rock of ours making videos on how they did it instead.